Nintendo is the king when it comes to taking modern gaming concepts and doing them in their own wacky way. Around the start of the 8th generation of consoles, online connectivity and social features in general solidified themselves as staples in the world of gaming. People wanted to feel a sense of connection and community in their games. Online gaming was becoming the way of the future, Xbox and PlayStation were implementing robust voice chat systems, and platforms like Discord released and exploded in popularity. This is because whether you're playing a single or multiplayer game, humans crave social interaction, and we want to feel a sense of community with our games. Nintendo had some of the most unique and interesting social features during the Wii U and 3DS generation. They may not have had the most robust online gaming systems or friend systems, but for better or for worse, they did things in their own Nintendo way. Two of the biggest things Nintendo pushed in this new world of social gaming is Miiverse, and the thing I'm most interested in talking about today, StreetPass on the 3DS. StreetPass was a form of local communication where if your 3DS comes close enough to another 3DS, the two would automatically be able to communicate and exchange various game data, which was called a StreetPass tag. This green light would appear on your system to indicate you tagged someone, and I bet you can remember that butterfly feeling you got as a kid when you saw that light appear. Getting a StreetPass tag provided a large variety of functionality depending on the game. In Animal Crossing New Leaf, a StreetPass tag would make a copy of the other person's house appear in the HHA showcase that you could visit and even order their furniture from. In Tomodachi Life, the other person's traveling islander would appear in your campsite. Most importantly, the main reason myself and many others would strive to get StreetPass tags was for StreetPass Mii Plaza. StreetPass is one of the coolest features Nintendo ever created. It's something so unique that only they would come up with. No other company has tried to copy it or do their own version of it. It solely exists on the 3DS. With StreetPass came StreetPass Mii Plaza, a game/app that revolved around this unique feature. I have loads of thoughts and experiences related to StreetPass Mii Plaza, and I'd like to share them with you today. Let's get into it. Whoosh! Here's the Plaza Gate, the place where you meet all the Miis you tagged. This is where you'll get a brief overview of the other player. When you're setting up your profile, you have the option of sharing details about yourself like your hobby, dream, if you prefer cats or dogs, and some of this info will be shared with other people at the gate. The Mii will let you know how many times you've tagged that specific person, and after you've tagged them at least twice, you can start sending them personal messages. These will be shown to the other player the next time you tag them. Sometimes you would get special Miis wearing gold pants through Spot Pass, and these Miis would have some kind of special perk when you play the Street Pass games with them. In Puzzle Swap, for example, you would be able to choose any puzzle piece. These guys were typically Miis of high-level Nintendo employees and would show up at your gate during special events like E3 and stuff. Another cool way of tagging people was through a feature called Street Pass Relay. Whenever you brought your 3DS to a Nintendo Zone location, meaning someplace that Nintendo partnered with such as McDonald's or Best Buy, and connected to their Wi-Fi, you would be able to tag the last 6 people that visited that location, regardless of if they are currently in that location. This feature was amazing, especially for someone like me who struggled to get Street Pass tags because I grew up in a little place called Dipshit Nowhere, Ohio, population 12. All I had to do was visit my local McDonald's and I was guaranteed to nab some Street Pass tags. Let's head over to the plaza now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my childhood. This is the main plaza, the place that holds all the Miis you've ever tagged here in captivity. Different versions of the Street Pass theme will play whenever you reach certain milestones in terms of Mii collecting, such as getting 50 or 100 Miis. You can click on a Mii and see all the info that they have on their profile, such as how many times you've tagged them, their birthday, hobby, dream, and other stuff. So the plaza has actually gone through a ton of changes over the years. Unlike the other pre-installed apps on your 3DS, Nintendo kept updating StreetPass Mii Plaza with new features, which I think is super interesting. StreetPass Mii Plaza is already the biggest and most content-packed piece of pre-installed software on the 3DS, so clearly they thought StreetPass was a good idea, but all the updates it got make me wonder if Nintendo knew it was going to be as popular as it was, or if it's one of those things where once they realized how much people liked it, they scrambled to add new features and eventually paid DLC to capitalize on it. The first update came in late 2011, the same year the 3DS launched. This added an achievement system where you could be recognized for achieving certain milestones, whether it be related to getting Street Pass tags, such as tagging the same person 10 times, or accomplishing things within the Street Pass games, such as completing a panel in Puzzle Swap. Speaking of games, the biggest thing this update added was Find Me 2, which you could only access after completing the original Find Me twice. Lastly, this update added the music player, which was used to play any music you have encountered so far in the app. The next update came in 2013, and you would now be able to start updating StreetPass Mii Plaza internally, because previously, you had to do it by doing a 3DS system update. You can now just update it by going to this update icon within the plaza. To coincide with this, they released the first major update to StreetPass Mii Plaza through the internal updater. This one added a ton of stuff. Let me tell you, as someone who wasn't closely following gaming news back in 2013, it was crazy exciting to open StreetPass Mii Plaza one day and see all these drastic changes. It was a total surprise. This was before the the days of sitting in school with a Chromebook and Googling Nintendo and then just going to the news tab to stay up to date with things. As for these drastic changes, instead of a simple pop-up window for accessing minigames, all the minigames are here in this hub area. You could also access the minigames from the touchscreen for your convenience. It also added the ability to use one of 6 emotions for your greeting when you tag people. Now, onto the juicy stuff. This update brought 4 brand new StreetPass minigames: Mii Force, Flower Town, Warrior's Way, and Monster Manor, all of which were in the form of paid DLC. Now, some people may raise an eyebrow at this. The idea of having paid DLC in a small preloaded app on a 3DS may not sit right with some, and I totally understand this. My counter to this is that all these extras are very high quality, and everyone knows that the best things in life aren't free. Except for this giant free water balloon I found in a parking lot behind a Taco Bell. Finders keepers. The new minigames were priced at $4.99 a pop, but you could get them bundled together for $14.99. This is DLC I can get behind. Considering StreetPass Mii Plaza already comes with 3 very good minigames, including Find Me 2, these new games feel like extra, and when you consider the quality of the 4 minigames that you get, it feels like something they wouldn't be able to do for free, or at least it wouldn't be a very good business decision to do for free. In order to convince us to buy these games, Nintendo introduced us to the most underrated character in the history of Nintendo characters: Sales Bunny. She basically gives you a fun little slideshow presentation for each of the DLC games and tries to sell them to you. I remember I couldn't afford to buy a $20 eShop gift card right away, because this was back in the day when rummaging through couch cushions for change was like the only way of getting money. So I would just watch these little Sales Bunny presentations almost every single day, dreaming about what it would be like to play these games. This was also back when we didn't have a stable internet connection at home, so I had to go up to my mom and be like, "Please, Mom, please let me use your phone as a hotspot so I can download the StreetPass games. I'll literally do anything if you let me use your data." Alright, it's time for your Aaron's Game Hub working title fun fact of the day. In most versions of the game, if you refuse to buy the games after Sales Bunny's pitch, she'll look deflated and say, "Oh, I see." But in the European versions of the game, she'll say, "Fair enough," because in Europe, it's illegal for a game to make the player feel pressure to use real-world money. I'll give my thoughts on each of the games a bit later, don't you worry. The second major update came in 2015. It introduced the Vault, which was a way of hiding games from the fountain. This could be used when you have already completed a game, or don't play a game much so you won't have the game nag you when you haven't completed the game with your current visitors when you try to meet new people that you tagged at the gate. There were also some features that were locked behind a $5 paywall called StreetPass Mii Plaza Premium. This added StreetPass birthdays, which recorded the birthdays of all the Miis you tagged with the goal of filling it out as much as possible. It also added the VIP room for storing Miis that are special, such as your personal friends. This helps you keep things organized, but more importantly, it keeps Miis from getting auto-deleted if you max out your Plaza population. It also added some miscellaneous stuff like getting to listen to music from the music player while the system was in sleep mode, setting other music as the main theme for your Plaza, and skipping dialogue at the Plaza gate. Again, many people will likely raise an eyebrow at this, and that's for good reason, because this was pretty goddamn stupid on Nintendo's part. None of these feel like things you should have to pay for, especially the quality of life improvements. As a 9-year-old, however, my favorite 3DS app having new features and only for the cost of a pack of Pokemon cards was enough to get my mouth watering, so I gladly forked over the money for an eShop gift card. If Nintendo told younger me to jump into a volcano, I totally would have done it. Looking back though, this was completely unnecessary as DLC. This shit should have been free. Alright everyone, hold on to your dicks, because we got 2 brand new DLC games, and they might be the best StreetPass Mii Plaza has to offer. Ultimate Angler and Battleground Z were released and could be bought individually for $4.99 or bundled together for $7.99. Again, we'll actually be talking about the games later. The third and final major update came in late 2016, and this was around when I stopped playing StreetPass Mii Plaza, so I don't remember this update very well. This one added the Quick Plaza as a new UI that allowed you to greet new visitors and get into games quicker. For the chumps like me that upgraded to StreetPass Mii Plaza Premium, we got a crown-shaped pin attached to our bodies to flex on the brokies that couldn't afford StreetPass Mii Plaza Premium. We also got the queue feature, which allows you to archive up to 100 visitors to use later in games. I'm sure this feature was a lot more useful for people who were actually a part of civilization. As for the new games, we got 5 brand spanking new StreetPass games: Slot Car Rivals, Market Crashers, Feed Me, Ninja Launcher, and Mii Trek. You had the choice of getting Slot Car Rivals or Market Crashers for free, and then you could get the remaining 4 games in a bundle or buy them individually. I'm pretty sure the bundle was $8.99 and individually they were $2.99, but I'm not entirely sure. I've heard some conflicting things online. I'm not exactly sure why these ones would be cheaper. I sure hope it has nothing to do with the quality. Alright, enough of that garbage. Let's go through and actually talk about these games. The StreetPass Mii Plaza games are scrumptious. These are the reasons you would go out to get StreetPass tags. As cool as the StreetPass functionality can be in other games like Animal Crossing New Leaf, these games were tailor-made for StreetPass and they were so much fun. It was so cool going out and getting a batch batch of StreetPass tags and then going through each and every one of your games with your little army of visitors. Let's go through each and every one of the games and give them a completely unnecessary and arbitrary rating on a scale of 1 to 5, because we humans love to rate things. 3 means a pretty solid game, 5 is a masterpiece, and 1 means this game hit me over the head with a pipe, then lit me on fire, then had sex with my wife, then stole all my toilet paper. Of course, we have to start with Puzzle Swap. This is the StreetPass game. It's the first one that comes to mind when I think of StreetPass games. The goal of this game is to collect as many puzzle pieces as you can in order to complete boards that feature various Nintendo series. You can do this by tagging other players, which gets you a copy of a piece that they have on their boards, or using play coins. Remember play coins? I forget about play coins a lot. Each of the StreetPass games have some sort of play coin functionality, which could be used to help progress through games without actually tagging people. The downside is that using play coins was usually not as good as tagging real people, so it doesn't take too much away from what makes StreetPass games special, while also helping out people like me who grew up in small towns and didn't get many tags. In the case of Puzzle Swap, 2 play coins would give you a completely random puzzle piece, and it's not guaranteed to be a new piece. It could be one you already own. It's hard not to like Puzzle Swap. It's one of the OGs, and completing puzzle boards with iconic Nintendo series on them is so fun and satisfying. Puzzle Swap gets a 4 out of 5, it's very good. Next up is another OG, Find Mii. So this one actually has a bit of a story going on. Your Mii has been captured and you need to obtain heroes through tagging other people to save them. It's a very simple adventure game where you have the option of doing a basic attack or a magic attack that changes depending on the color of the Mii shirt. Sometimes you'll encounter situations where you need to tag someone with a Mii wearing a specific color in order to advance. This is a cool way of adding some more complexity to StreetPass, but it can be a bit annoying sometimes as colors like light blue and light green are really hard to come by in my experience. I remember getting stuck on a ghost with a light blue or light green shield and I couldn't get past it for like weeks. Luckily, the ginger kid I sat next to on the bus also had a 3DS and I was able to convince him to change his Mii shirt color. The hero's level will rise depending on the amount of times you tag that individual person, so if you tag someone 5 times, they will be level 5 and do more damage. You can also hire heroes with play coins and they will be either cats or dogs depending on what you said you prefer in your StreetPass profile. The problem is that they will only be levels 1 or 2. This game is another classic, 4 out of 5. After completing Find Mii twice, you then unlock Find Mii 2. I feel like I say this a lot, but I was not following gaming stuff online back in the day, so I had no idea this game existed. When I completed the game and found out there was a 3rd StreetPass game and it was a sequel to my favorite one, I lost my mind. I'm pretty sure I unlocked it on a day when school was closed for snow, so I spent my entire day racking up play coins by shaking my 3DS to cheese the pedometer and setting the date forward and grinding through Find Mii 2. Anyway, this one has a new story, new enemies, including these neat little slime guys, and various new mechanics. It introduced the ability to hire Miis that you have previously met for play coins, which is super useful if you're stuck at a part where you need a specific color. It also introduced combining Miis of similar colors to form teams, and buying potions with play coins, which have different effects like boosting your hero's level. Find Mii 2 is basically Find Mii, but better, so it gets a 5 out of 5. Mii Force is an interesting one because it's the first one that had real-time combat. In this one, you are tasked with taking down the evil Goldbone. In order to do this, you need to blast through various side-scrolling shooting levels with the allies you've obtained through StreetPass. Each person you've tagged not only determines how many times you can get hit, but also what kind of weapon you get. The weapon will be different depending on the Mii's shirt color. It's fun, I like it. 3 out of 5. It's a good game, just not the one I ran to first whenever I tagged people. Flower Town was a guilty pleasure of mine as a kid. A game all about growing flowers was a very dangerous game to play as a young boy. I could not let the boys know I was into Flower Town.
Aaron, you play girl games, you little bitch!
Either way, I loved this game as a kid because growing up on Animal Crossing made me a sucker for cozy games. The plot of Flower Town is that your Mii dreams of becoming a master gardener by growing 20 different kinds of plants. To do this, you need to invite other gardeners through StreetPass who will each take turns watering your plant. After your plant is watered enough times, it will bloom and will then be added to the encyclopedia if you don't have that plant yet. This is another reason I think I really like this game. Another series I grew up on is Pokemon, so I've always been into the idea of collecting all different kinds of a species and filling up some sort of digital encyclopedia. It scratches that completionist itch in my brain just right. If your plant has already bloomed while another gardener is watering it, your plant and the other gardener's plant will cross-pollinate and you'll get a seed from it. You heard me correctly. The plants are fucking. You have the screen which will show the chances of what breed the plant will grow into, and you can plant whichever seed accordingly, and you keep watering it and the cycle continues. Flower Town is a neat, cozy little game. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. You guys are so pissed I gave Mii Forza 3. This next game is not quite as good as I remember. Out of all the games I'm revisiting, Warrior's Way is the last one I expected to not like as much because this was one of my favorites as a kid. The concept of the game is really cool. Your Mii is a monarch with goals of taking over the world with their trusty butler, Wentworth. In order to do this, you need to build an army by tagging people or hiring mercenaries with play coins. If you tag another person that doesn't have Warrior's Way, your army will gain a number of troops equal to the other player's StreetPass Mii Plaza population. If the other player has purchased Warrior's Way, you will have the option to greet them peacefully or attack, both of which can get you some troops. A big problem I have with this game now is that you really have to rely on play coins in order to get a decent army, especially for the final boss, which has a huge difficulty spike. I definitely don't mind using play coins to progress through Street Pass games. It's kinda mandatory when you live out in a cornfield, but I don't like it when it's the main way of progressing through a game, because it makes these games that revolve around Street Pass lose a lot of their magic. As for how the combat works, it's basically rock, paper, scissors style combat where you can send in the cavalry, archers, or infantry. Best of 3 wins. Like I mentioned, the ultimate goal is to take over the world by conquering all 20 countries, each of which have their own monarch. I thought for sure I'd be giving it a 5 out of 5 considering it was one of my favorite games as a kid, but looking back and replaying it, I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. It's still a really fun game, but it's held back a bit. The last game in the first DLC bundle is Monster Manor, and this one is excellent. Your Mii is an investigator trying to solve the mystery of a haunted house with the ultimate goal of making it to the 30th floor. You progress by putting down little map pieces that you obtain from other players so you can advance through the floor to find the staircase, which is hidden from view, so there's a bit of guesswork involved. As you're putting down a map piece, you may encounter a monster which initiates combat. Combat is done in real time. Your basic attack is pressing A to fire your weapon, but you can also do a charge attack, counterattack, and raise your shield to defend. All of these actions consume your battery, which will recharge when you aren't doing anything. You just have to be careful of enemy attacks, which can happen at random intervals. I really enjoy the combat here. It remains simple, which I think is key to a Street Pass game, but it's also more engaging than something like Find Me. Monster Manor is a 5 out of 5 game. I kinda see it as a Find Me, but with a more interesting traversal system and much more engaging combat. Moving on to the second bundle of DLC games, we have Ultimate Angler, and ladies and gentlemen, we have my favorite Street Pass game. Fishing in any game is always gonna grab my attention, whether it be in Animal Crossing, We Play, Red Dead Redemption 2, or AR games, I love it all. When I saw there was a fishing game coming to StreetPass Mii Plaza, oh man was I ever excited. So you go to this fishing club, but you don't have any bait. In order to fish, your Street Pass guests will give you bait based on their shirt color. Different kinds of fish will be attracted to different baits, and you can combine bait for a higher chance of catching larger fish, including legendary fish. I really like the sequence of reeling in the fish. You have to be careful of how much you reel because being too aggressive can snap the line. It can be pretty stressful, but in all the right ways. Something unique about this game is that you can get special rewards based on the region that a Street Pass guest is from. If you tag a player within a different region in your country, you get a silver permit. If you tag a Mii from a completely different country, you get a gold permit. Both of these can take you to special islands. Of course, my favorite Street Pass game gets a 5 out of 5. The second and last game in Bundle 2 is Battleground Z, a beat-em-up zombie game which is really cool to see in a Street Pass game. You go through various missions slapping the shit out of zombies courtesy of the weapons provided by your Street Pass guests. These missions can range from killing all the zombies, escorting a survivor, or defending some location. You may assume that the weapon you get from your guest depends on their shirt color, but this game shakes things up by making their hobby determine the weapons. For example, if their favorite hobby is playing video games, you get a Wii remote as a weapon. Hey guys, I'm bringing my Wii so we can play Wii games on vacation.
Holy shit, he's armed!
We have another great 4 out of 5 game here. DLC Bundle 2 brought some real bangers. The next batch of games is DLC Bundle 3, and this is the one that I have almost no memories of, and because of that, I may not have as much to say on these remaining 5. I can't even tell you what you do in these games off the top of my head. Another thing to keep in mind is that since I didn't play these games during Street Pass in its prime, it's gonna be hard to play much of these games and get the full experience. I may also have more of a negative view on these games. Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to see how I rate games that I have zero nostalgia for. First up is Slot Car Rivals. It's one of the 2 you have the option of getting for free. This has gotta be one of the ones I had to experience back in 2016, because man, I just don't get it. The gameplay consists of tagging people to race against. It starts off sounding pretty cool because typically the people you tag help you out in Street Pass games. You aren't usually competing with them. But then you get to the actual gameplay, which is holding down the A button to accelerate, and then you have to slow down when turning corners by releasing the A button, and then speeding up again by pressing A. Thank God you have the option of getting this game for free. It's kinda fun and satisfying to time the accelerations just right and get a little speed boost, but that's the only thing even remotely engaging about this game. Maybe I'm missing something here, but this game is not very fun. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. Hopefully the other game you could have gotten for free can pick up the slack. Next up is Market Crashers, and this one is complete ass cheeks, dude! It's so bad! I'm talking offensively bad. You had to pay for this game if you decided to pick up slot car rivals for free. This game is about the stock market, and the goal is to make the most profit possible by buying low and selling high. You see this graph right here? You press the A button to buy stocks when the line dips, and you press the Y button to sell when the line spikes. Some people paid for this game! You may be wondering where StreetPass comes into play. The people you tag are your analysts, which will help you predict when there's going to be a spike or a dip, which is just not a cool or interesting use of StreetPass. It doesn't make me want to leave my house and get StreetPass tags. It makes me want to eat a gun. This game is an easy 1 out of 5. Our next game is Feed Me, which is set in the same universe as Find Me. Your Mii is a chef tasked with feeding the wandering heroes you meet with StreetPass. Each hero will give you an ingredient based on their shirt color, and it's up to you to cook them up what you think the best meal would be. The better the meal you cook, the more the heroes can advance on their quest. This is another simple one, but I feel like I could have gotten pretty into this if StreetPass was still more of a thing. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. I think it has potential. Moving on to Ninja Launcher, this one has you playing as a ninja that gets launched out of a cannon to defeat enemies. While you're in the cannon, you're completely unarmed, but the allies you got through StreetPass will send kites up in the air that have weapons attached. It's up to you to position them so they line up with your trajectory as you get launched out of the cannon, though you have limited time to do so. You can also fire test shots to see how you're doing. The more weapons you collect as you're flying towards the enemy, the more damage you'll do. It's pretty good. It's another one I wish I had played more during the peak of StreetPass. 3 out of 5. Last but not least, we have Meat Trek, a game where you explore the frontiers alongside your StreetPass companions. Meat Trek's defining characteristic is that it uses the real-life step counts of the people you tag. The amount of steps your visitor's pedometer is tracked will determine how far you can travel in the game. I love really weird mechanics like this, where the 3DS's unique mechanics and systems are working together to make something cool. It's outside the box thinking like this that made me a Nintendo fan. Other than that, this game kinda blows. Yeah, you just kinda use your total step count to walk around, take pictures, find some treasures. Not really my cup of tea. 2 out of 5. And that's all the 14 games baked into StreetPass Mii Plaza. The original games are great, DLC Bundle 1 is great, Bundle 2 is fantastic, and Bundle 3 wasn't really my thing overall, but I guess I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I had played it back in 2016. StreetPass was so cool because it provided such a unique sense of community that you can't find on any other console. During the Wii U and 3DS generation, Nintendo wasn't a household name like it used to be. You felt pretty different walking around with your 3DS. But then you see that little green light appear, and you see all these people show up to your plaza, and you can feel the presence of other people that like the same things as you. I miss this feature so much, and I really hope something like it comes back on future Nintendo systems. There have been efforts to revive StreetPass with fan projects implementing online StreetPass if you have a hacked 3DS, and that's really cool and I have mad respect for the work they've done, but many will agree it's not quite the same as walking past someone in real life and getting that StreetPass tag the old-fashioned way. StreetPass was something where even though I loved it as a kid for being so unique and different, I only appreciate it more and more as time goes on. Only in hindsight am I able to realize how unique it was. I think I'm gonna start carrying my 3DS with me around more often, whether it be just like slipping it into my backpack before heading to class or taking it with me to a game store while I'm game hunting. I think it would be cool to see if there's anyone still lurking around out there who still has their 3DS on them. Even though StreetPass is well past its glory days, I think it would make tagging someone just that much more special. And that's it. Farewell, my friends.